Right now, though, we are on to in our most intriguing Seahawks countdown.
Number 5.
As I said, number 5 could very easily be number 1. He is that intriguing. But the question is, what is he? And I'm talking about Jamal Adams. I don't know what he is. Who is Jamal Adams? Will he be healthy? What will he do when he finally is healthy? Is he a safety? Is he a linebacker? If he rushes the quarterback and plays up near the line of scrimmage, can he stay healthy? If he plays on the back end, does he end up costing the team more than he helps them? What is Jamal Adams? He's the highest paid player on the defense. He's a guy they've invested a tremendous amount of assets in between the first-round picks that they gave up and obviously the contract that they signed him to. They've had opportunities. It wouldn't have been ideal, but they could have moved on if they had wanted to this offseason. They decided not to. They decided to bring him back, and he's still not quite ready. I'm not holding him accountable for that. I mean, eventually he'll be healthy enough to go at some point, probably after being on PUP to start the year. But what is he when he returns? Because he's an unbelievably talented guy, and I'd like to think that he's that X factor that pushes them over the top. But I just haven't seen it in so long that it's sort of hard to remember.
Yeah, I'm sure if we were to really think about it and other safeties around the league of the last 10-plus years, Salk, that we would find other teams with other safeties that guys get beat up. Bob Sanders probably at the top of the list right there with Cam Chancellor. And they played the game the same way, just totally violent. with collisions they never turned down. There was never a business decision with Bob Sanders or Cam Chancellor. And I think the same can be said for Jamal. But with that comes what? What's the trade-off? Your body gets decimated. You can go see my buddy, Dr. Nelson, but he's going to tell you, man, yeah, it's spinal. Right? For Jamal, he's got fingers that have been fused. He's got labrums that have been repaired. He's now got a hip tendon or a tendon in his quad that's been reattached, along with all the other bumps and bruises and injuries, the massive collisions through the years. So who he is this year, I think I can say confidently, who he is this year is going to be a nickel linebacker that they want to get to the end of the race. They do not want what's happened the last 2 years, and that's a season cut totally short before the second half of a season or maybe even the second quarter of a season even begins. So they are going to protect him. They're going to guard his health, and I think they know with, Cam Chancellor, remember how upset he got at me that one time? And others got upset at me with a fairly, I thought, harmless question of how much longer can you do this after he held out. He came back and he got his deal, and I guess maybe some thought that it was a loaded question, that I knew some of the medical behind the scenes that I did not. At that point, it was rather a harmless question, hoping he would say the next 10 years. But it was a whole lot less than that because the body just could not hold up. And much like a NFL running back, these kind of safeties have a life expectancy, and they're just trying to get the most out of this season in particular.
Well, it's interesting, that element of it, and there's a lot of questions about how to use him best. We asked KJ Wright this last Wednesday. Ooh, hold on one sec. Here you go. We asked KJ Wright on Wednesday.
This is what's going to happen. We're going to go nickel.
Yeah.
Bobby at linebacker.
Yeah.
Jamal. Yep. Get your butt at linebacker.
And that's when Jordan Brooks is not on the field.
Well,
Bush is not on the field.
Yeah, there's going to be a few different nickels. We're going to have, let's say a second. I'm telling you, it's going to be weird.
Nickel. Brock, we're going to go big nickel this year,
We're going to go big nickel, where it's going to be Jordan and Bobby. Then we're going to go regular nickel, where it's Bobby and Jamal. It's going to be fun to watch.
KJ even got himself all turned around in that answer, Brock, because I think, but I don't blame KJ for that. I'm blaming the fact that they've got some guys and the ways to use them is still very much up in the air. Here's the question I have.
Yeah, and unlike Marlowe and Kelnick and Canzone, there's no redundancy. Their skill sets are different.
Right. But
very different.
But their positions are somewhat the same. So they're just giving you different looks out of some of the same positions. Here's the question I'll ultimately ask about Jamal, and this is not supposed to be a leading question either. Is he going to be more disruptive to the opposing offense or to their own defense?
Oh, it'll be the opposing offense as long as he is put in that position that KJ just talked about, as long as he is near the line of scrimmage. I do remember Paul Moyer, a guy that I very much trust as a former player in the league and a coach in the league. He's covered the team for decades and has seen the game progress and change. And I remember when they made that move. And he said very clearly he's got the best run instincts that you're going to ever find out of a safety, that he plays the game like a running back. Right, and you watch him and you watch his path to the football around. Well, heck, even when he comes out of the back end as a safety, he's an amazing tackler. But his instincts and his feel are best around the line of scrimmage, and that's where the Jets used him. It's where the Seahawks used him in that COVID year with all of those sacks, an NFL record in sacks from a secondary player. And you're going to see him a whole lot closer to the line of scrimmage, wreaking havoc on them, and I don't think terribly disruptive. I mean, how can it be? It's been disruptive for 3 years, Salk. It's not like, they haven't done this dance.
Well, the only reason it becomes disruptive is if guys are playing well, you add him back into the situation, and they don't play as well.
Yeah.
Because people have to come off the field in order for him to make his way on there.
Yeah, and if they're playing really well, then it's probably going to be, you can wait a little bit longer, Jamal. You can wait a little longer. It's probably not going to be until a little bit of a need or a cold spell or making sure, as I said, that we can get you all the way to the end of the race through December and into January.
All right, there you go. That is our number 5 most intriguing Seahawk, Jamal Adams. He's number 5. As I said, he probably could have been number 1. There's enough conversation around him. I'll just come back to what I said a year or two ago about Jamal. Let me love you. I just want to love Jamal. He is such the kind of player that I absolutely want to love. Yeah. He hits hard. He plays hard. He runs around. He talks trash. He comes up to the line of scrimmage, bury people from the safety position. There's so many things I love about his game, but I've just heard from too many of you ex-football players that he is a bit of a liability on the back end in coverage. And so because of that, I don't know how to use him best. If he's a liability on the back end, but his body can't always hold up to being up front, I don't know what you do with him. And I don't. That's a huge question. I think they've got to answer.
You know why I think you like him, as you were saying that, because he's got a lot of Lawyer Malloy to him.
He sure does.
He's got a lot of love for the game. He's got a charisma. Now, Lawyer was a 5-tool baseball player that could chase down anything in the alley. So he could, in his prime and even late in his career, he could still cover. He still knew how to take angles and play the ball. So if Lawyer's listening, Lawyer, you were, a much better all-around complete. But as far as around the box, as far as playing this game, as far as just the juice, and I play for free, I think there's a lot of that with Jamal that Lawyer had for sure.